when it comes to relationship repair or getting your ex back, repairing your marriage. I've spoken a lot on this channel about how ineffective the no contact rule is, but a lot of people have been asking on my other videos about what I call the low contact rule. So in today's video, I'm going to break down the steps that you need to follow in order to repair your relationship, following not the no contact rule, but the low contact rule. I'm not going to dig into the no contact rule. I've broken it down on other videos on my channel, but the shorthand is that the no contact rule is this idea that you cut off all contact with your partner or your ex-partner in order to try to win them back, in order to try to heal yourself, or in order to try to disrupt the pattern of the relationship, in order to try to lure them back to returning back to you. And the reason why this no contact rule is so prevalent is because it's pushed by a lot of different people online. Now, I'm not here to criticize them as people, but in my experience, the no contact rule does not have the effect and the impact that it should have. In my experience, the no contact rule actually causes more damage overall to relationship repair. And in the thousands of people that I've worked with, there is definitely a better way. The reason is that when it comes to relationship repair, this idea of the no contact rule is based kind of on some myths. So the very first myth is this idea that there needs to be complete silence. So when you're trying to win an ex back, when you're trying to repair your marriage, there's this idea that cutting off all communication is helpful for repairing a relationship. The reason why a lot of people say that there needs to be silence is that human psychology hates a vacuum. So when you have been in a relationship pattern that has gone a certain way for a long period of time, breaking that pattern, disrupting that pattern, causes the brain to suddenly become very, very attentive. And it starts to fill that silence with a lot of questions about what is happening. Now, if you've been in a relationship that has been stuck in a negative pattern, then a lot of people will see this as a good thing because it's this idea of, well, I'm breaking this negative pattern. The problem is that if your partner has broken up with you because they have not felt that the dynamic has been working, then your partner is stuck with that negative point of view of you. So yes, this silence can cause a pattern interrupt, but cutting off all communication and just sitting in silence is not going to make them miss you. It's actually going to do the opposite. It usually allows the negative interpretations that your partner has or your ex-partner has of you to run rampant in their mind. So basically, their mind has created enough evidence for them to want to walk away from the relationship. And now, when you cut off all contact, then their brain now has very little counter evidence to that interpretation. So this myth of complete silence is actually more likely to cause more damage over time. The second myth is this idea that no contact allows you to heal. The truth is that stopping contact with someone doesn't actually do any healing. In the same way that climbing out of a river doesn't make you better at swimming. It just steps you out of the river. But if you're a bad swimmer, you're a bad swimmer. And the issue that happens is that most people step out of one river and then they do nothing. And then they step into another river. And then what happens is that they get into a pattern of blaming rivers for being dangerous drowning hazards. And this is a massive problem, is that healing and growth happens with the work that you do, nothing more, nothing less. So it's not about whether you're in the river or out of the river. The truth is that the work happens with the work that you do. You can't learn to be a strong swimmer without eventually getting in that river, but it's about how you get in that river that matters the most. And this is really important, is that this healing that people say that the no contact rule allows them to do means that they usually do the work in a way that's not particularly helpful to them. They don't learn how to be a strong swimmer. And this is what's really important when it comes to this whole idea of a no contact rule. But then there's this lingering myth that they need to miss you. Like, no matter what, they need to have your absence in order for them to return from you. They need to miss your presence. But again, this is not the way reality works. Whether they miss the good things about you or not, if the core pattern of your relationship isn't disrupted and changed permanently, then even if they do miss you, let's say the no contact rule 100% works and your ex-partner comes back to you or your relationship is repaired, even if they come back to you and you reconcile, if you have not changed that pattern long term, eventually your relationship is going to repeat the exact same pattern. Even if you go to a different relationship, if you haven't changed how you do things, how you see the world, how you change your beliefs, your communication, how you regulate your emotions, then you will repeat the exact same pattern. And this is the biggest problem that I see. You know, when I work with members, I work with them on a long-term basis. And people have come to me after trying this no contact rule, and they've reconciled with their partner for a little bit, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months. But they reconcile and they haven't built those strong swimming skills in order to be able to grow a relationship dynamic. So they've reconciled, but they haven't done the deeper work that is absolutely essential for not just building this relationship, but any relationship. This means that even if you do the no contact rule and you reconcile, if you don't have all of the deeper work done in the meantime, then that reconciliation could crash and burn very easily and blow one of the very few chances you have left of repairing this relationship. Because the truth is that when you reconcile with a partner, once they're back, it doesn't mean that they'll stay back. Relationships always evolve and change, and if you aren't able to look ahead and be able to preempt these potential moments of change within the relationship, then you're going to be caught blindsided by those changes. So focusing on the environment of the relationship allows you to start changing things even when you're trying to repair a relationship. This is why this whole idea of the no contact rule, even when it works in a very, very short-term way. And if you want to repair a relationship, the chances are you don't want to repair your relationship short-term. You want to repair your relationship for the long term, right? We enter relationships for forever. That's the whole point of being with someone, is that we're trying to cultivate a forever with them. So why would you settle for a temporary reconciliation when you have the chance to actually build the relationship long-term for both of you? And this is the difference. So what is the low contact rule? I've broken this down into 8 steps. Now, I know 8 steps seems like a lot. I've actually tried to make this as to the point as possible for you, but if you follow these 8 steps, you will have a much stronger chance of repairing your relationship long-term than following the no contact rule and crossing your fingers that this trick works. So like I said, I've worked with thousands of people and many different types of relationships, in many types of breakups, in many types of divorces. And if I could boil down this low contact rule, it would be these 8 steps. So the very first step is the diagnostic phase. So this is basically finding your core pattern within the relationship. Growing the relationship without any sort of real diagnosis is just kind of aimless self-help. So before you can disrupt any sort of pattern, you've got to know what the pattern is. You've got to accurately be able to map the failure of the relationship. So this step is really important because it allows you to strip away the narrative, the story that you tell yourselves, down to the raw mechanics of the relationship, being able to step back from an objective point of view and look at the relationship, not from a place of blame or a place of guilt, but a place of objectively, here is what is happening, before taking a look at what your role is in this dynamic so you can change it moving forward. So you've got to separate the story that you tell you about your breakup, so separate the emotions and the worries and all that sort of stuff, from the architecture of the breakup, which is the actual dynamics. And this can be done really easily. You can write down the top 3 recurring arguments that you had. And for each one, write down, ask yourself, why? Why did this argument matter? And keep drilling down onto it until you hit the core root issue. So for example, we fought about me being late. Why? Because my partner always felt ignored. Why? Because I focused so much on work that I actually ended up having a massive impact on our emotional intimacy when things got heavy. Doing it in this very simple way allows you to target the root cause of your part of the pattern that you can then start to target. And this is really important. Step 2 is to make the commitment to grow. Now, this sounds very simple. It sounds actually very surface level, but this has to start with a choice. This cannot be some indecision of, oh, I don't know whether I want to repair the relationship, or maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't. I don't know. No, you actually have to start with the choice to grow. And this is a matter of writing it down. Write down from your perspective who you want to be, how you want to show up in a relationship. and how you expect to achieve that growth. So this is not focused on your partner, what you feel like they should do. This is focused on you and who you want to be. This allows you to be able to compare how you've acted in the relationship compared to where you would like to be as a partner. We talk a lot on this channel about being a leader within a relationship, and this is really important. Being a leader involves having a very clear vision forward, especially in how we show up as a partner in a relationship. Express that commitment to grow. So there's no point in just committing to it yourself. You actually have to express this commitment to your partner. So this is setting the baseline for yourself, being able to tell your partner, hey, I am committed to growing. This is something that I want to do because I know that I have an impact on the relationship and I want to make sure that I'm growing in the right way. So this is setting a baseline for yourself, but also this plants a seed within your partner's mind implicitly that the relationship has the potential to grow as well. When one partner makes the commitment to grow, then it implies that the relationship also has the chance to grow and evolve. And this shows many different things. It shows leadership, it shows that you are willing to lead the charge, even if the other team members aren't necessarily bought in right now. But it also shows humility, which is the ability to self-reflect, the ability to look at your flaws, and to realize that you are not perfect. And there are many ways in which you can change that would benefit the relationship. But it also shows action. So make sure that you are expressing this to your partner without any shame, without any guilt, without wallowing. So this is not a matter of saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I screwed things up, or I feel so bad, or I hurt you so much, or I don't deserve a good relationship, or I did so many bad things. This is without all of that. So it's doing it without all of those wallowing tendencies, but it also is important to do it without showing off or bragging. So this is not about making these big promises saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to change, I'm going to show you, I'm going to become the best partner, you'll see. This is not about showing off or bragging. This is simply taking ownership to your partner and allowing them to know that you are ready to start doing things differently. As an example, I know that you are probably feeling exhausted by us right now, and I would feel the same way. I've realized how little action that I took in making changes in myself and how much of an impact that had on the way I spoke with you, the way I approach the relationship, and I really want to make changes that stick. So I want to do things differently, and I really want to take these next steps to grow and to change. In this way, you're making the commitment and you're saying to your partner, here's what I'm going to do, but you're also doing it from a place of doing it for yourself first, knowing how much of an impact that it has on the relationship. And this is really important. The next kind of half step is about boundaries. So when you're expressing this commitment to grow, it's really important to respect any explicit boundary that is being put here right now. So respecting an explicit boundary communicates a lot more high value growth than any sort of accountability or commitment to grow ever can. So in this example, I just want to be clear that if your ex or your partner explicitly stated, I do not want to talk with you right now, you should not communicate with me, anything that is explicitly a boundary, violating that boundary to deliver this ownership message actually shows that you still prioritize yourself over their comfort. So here's the small caveat here, is that if there has been a very explicit boundary, then the previous step, just write it down for yourself for now. That's important. And I want to be clear with this, that not stepping over someone's explicit boundary is not passive. A lot of people would see this as passive action. This is not passive. This is actually very active action. This is an active display of security. It proves that you are changing in a way that shows that you will respect their boundaries without panicking, without bombarding them with texts, or without overstepping them. You should never break a hard boundary to talk about how much you respect boundaries, if that makes sense. So one thing that I say is that the harder the boundary, the more important it is to do the next steps. A very explicit boundary allows you to be able to do some really important work, to be able to dig in and understand why that boundary was placed in respect to your partner's feelings. And we'll talk more about that later on. Step 3, the next step, is to follow through on the commitment to grow. This is where you need to develop your plan. And this plan needs to, at the very least, include learning about your own internals, so learning about your own emotions, understanding your emotions in a very, very high standard way, but learning about your partner's emotions, taking the time to think about them, how they feel, putting yourself in your partner's shoes, and understanding them deeply. But this plan also needs to include practicing your communication to an extremely high standard. This is about planning to practice all of these things every day. A lot of people miss out on the opportunity that breakups come with. People think that breakups are the end of something. The way that I see breakups and that I approach breakups with members is that breakups are a perfect opportunity to level yourself up. Now, this may sound like some self-help guru nonsense, right? And I totally get that. I do honestly get that. I'm not trying to be Tony Robbins here. But the truth is that when something has catastrophically failed, like a relationship, walking away without learning the really, really important lessons would be the biggest shame. If I got involved in a car crash tomorrow, of course I would be upset. I would be frustrated. But I would hopefully walk away from that car crash asking myself, what could I do better? What do I need to do with my driving? What do I need to do with my checking my mirrors? Whatever it is, I would use that as an opportunity to figure out the part that I played in that car crash, which everyone has some role to play, what I can do to improve on the way that I drive that car. And it should be the same for relationships. Being able to dig into the relationship dynamic and asking, what standard was I really applying with how I did things? Do I tell myself that I communicate in a very high standard way, or do I actually communicate in a very high standard way? Once you start asking yourself those questions, it becomes a lot easier to be able to focus on what you can do to improve future relationships. It helps you to be able to ask yourself more useful, effective questions rather than feeling like you're the victim of a breakup or of another person. Being able to do this, focusing on your internals, focusing on your partner's internals, and learning communication allows you to, over time, build and maintain a consistent, calm and unfazed baseline. This helps you with your emotional stability, not just in this relationship, but in future relationships as well. The more that you work on this, this puts out the signal that you are a high value partner, that being in a relationship, you would actually be good, that you would be able to provide value within the relationship, the higher level values, the emotional values that are so valuable in relationships and so few and far between. Focusing on this will actually increase your chances massively of being able to reattract your partner back, because it means that you're not an anxious liability. You're not causing more emotional debt within the relationship. If you commit and follow through to cultivating the life that you want and being the partner that you want to be, then over time what this means is that you actually cultivate a quite low contact environment because you're naturally going to be busier in what you do. So this will automatically lower the amount of communication to your partner, but this also stops you from faking this no contact because you're following through on actually growing and changing your life for the better, but with a space for a partner to be able to join you. So step 4 in the low contact rule is killing the artificial urgency. So this is doing things like turning off read receipts on messages. Stop checking whether your partner or your ex-partner is active or online or posting stories on Snapchat or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is. Disengage with social media in general. I mean, a lot of it is an absolute waste of time anyway, but if need be, if you're still connected on different social media with your partner or your ex-partner, mute them. So you're not getting updates, you're not seeing them in your feed, you're not seeing their stories pop up, whatever, and commit to not reaching out and sending low value communication to them. So again, this is not no contact, but this is removing the low value contact so that you're not poisoning the dynamic of the relationship with very low standards. So cut out any non-essential contact for now. So no emotional status updates, no passive aggressive stories, no unsolicited just check-ins or hey, or what you're doing. Like, this is removing any low value communication with your partner or your ex-partner. Step 5 in the low contact rule is make sure that you do reach out over logistical stuff. So I talk a lot on this channel about the difference between emotional discords and logical discords. Every relationship has both of these, but it's important to understand the difference between the two. Emotional discords are the emotional conversations, the things that trigger you or your partner. The logical discords are the practical things. You know, the who's going to look after the dog this weekend? You know, I need to pass stuff on to you, or drop something off your house, or you need to reach out to me to pass this on, or we both need to connect on when to pick up the kids. That is the logistical stuff. So only reach out for now on the logistical stuff when it's absolutely essential. Feel free to reach out over things that are important, that are essential, that are going to benefit the relationship. And make sure that you're not doing this in some trying to be power trippy kind of way. You know, actually be warm and friendly in messages. You know, don't use pet names or loaded responses. Don't say I love you or I'm thinking of you, but still you can be warm. Imagine that you're talking to them like a good friend. So you don't have to walk on eggshells, but you're only talking about the logistical stuff. This is really important to be very, very consistent here. So you need to pick a tone, a warm tone, and you need to stick with it. Being consistent here is key, because it means that you're showing that you still care. You still care about their feelings. You're not being cold, you're not pulling away, you're not trying to pull some power trip, but you are being to the point about the logistics of dropping off stuff or things like that. And this is really important because you've already said to them that you are wanting to make changes. Now, when you're only reaching out about the important stuff, it shows that changes are being made. It's not going to be this way forever, but it's showing that you are willing to be warm and adult about things. And it allows your partner to feel changes from you without asking you what changes you're making. The next step is to master detachment. So this is a really important step. This is where when you are in low contact and you are growing and making the changes that are important, you can't fake a calm baseline if you're white knuckling whatever expectation of your partner. So if your growth is just a transaction to try to buy your ex back, their nervous system is going to sense that. They're going to feel the neediness from you. So the paradox of reconciliation is that reconciliation only happens when you no longer need that reconciliation. You may want it, but you need to not need it, if that makes sense. So this is a process of decoupling your self-worth from your partner's responses. So during this time, your partner may give you some tough truths or some negative feedback. Being able to decouple your self-worth from their feedback, from their response, from whether they like you or dislike you today is going to be really, really important. Now, this is not just one process. This is a bunch of different things that happen at once, but this is why learning relationship skills is so important. And this is part of what I work with members, is learning how to detach without doing it in a way that pushes your partner away. Detaching healthily actually builds reattraction between you and your partner and allows you to cultivate a very strong relationship moving forward. If you do want to start your journey or your growth journey to start repairing and rebuilding your relationship, then join my relationship bootcamp. This is where all of my members start, where they learn the fundamentals of how to rebuild a relationship in a powerful but healthy way. If you want to join us, I'll drop a link in the description if you want to grab your spot. So it's important to stop auditing your choices in life through what they see. If you're going to the gym or changing your wardrobe or whatever it is just so they notice, this is you performing. So it's important to make all of these changes for yourself first, regardless of whether they are watching or not. This counterintuitively actually changes the way that you will actually communicate with your partner or your ex-partner in the future, and over time reattracts them back. But one of the most important steps, step 7, is when emotional conversations crop up, for now, listen, but do not engage. You know, I spoke about logistical conversations and being able to start them and have them, that's important. But when emotional conversations crop up, as you're making your growth, it's really important to listen to whatever your partner has to say, but do not initiate these conversations. Like we said earlier about committing to growth, let them know in this conversation that you are still learning about all of this stuff, but you're humble enough to know that you're not there yet. So being able to sit and listen, maybe even ask a couple of questions to whatever your partner's saying when it comes to these emotional conversations, is going to, again, allow your partner to see and feel changes rather than you having to prove to them or tell them that you have changed. Because along the way, your partner is likely to subconsciously start testing your new changes. So the more you've been focused on the internal changes, the more that they are likely to subconsciously test them. This is something that's called expectancy bias. So they may say things that may have triggered you in the past, or maybe push a button that you're kind of known for being triggered by, because their brain wants to know if you're truly stable now, or if you are just faking it, if you're just playing a game. So this is why focusing on the internal changes is going to be really important, because it allows you to respond to whatever they throw your way with a calm demeanor, but also gives you the chance to be able to still continue your growth by holding off on any big major responses. Over time, even though a lot of people would want to say things, this will actually show greater change, because it shows that you're not getting defensive, you're not getting gushy or needy. This actually shows more change to your partner because it is low contact. It's still low contact right now, but it shows your partner through your actions that you're willing to do things differently rather than just say you're doing things differently. So if your partner initiates emotional conversations, don't use this as a reason to start gushing or for you to start initiating emotional conversations when you're not ready to. It's really important to make sure that you are ready to have those conversations once you've really practiced and mastered communication tools that are going to be effective. Being able to validate to a very, very high standard is going to have a much bigger impact on relationship repair with your partner than simply saying whatever comes into your head right now. Step 8 is feel free to reach out when you're ready with high value communication. So it's important to differentiate between low value and high value conversations. I've actually done a deeper dive on this, which I'll link to on the screen and in the description down below. Separating the difference between these two different types of conversations is going to be really important. So when you're having high value conversations, these emotional conversations, make sure that you are not doing it over text or email. Make sure you're doing it through calls or video or in person, which allows you to have a lot more nuance and less misinterpretation on these conversations. And these high value conversations need to be topics that have value to your partner. And during this time, if you have dug into their emotions, you dug into your own emotions, you should start to be able to have built that emotional intelligence up enough to know what you may have missed out on in the relationship, what these valuable conversations are to your partner specifically, and being able to reach out to them and provide a conversation that they find useful, that's not just self-serving you, which is what a lot of people do after reaching out after no contact, is they suddenly jump in and say, okay, I've done no contact, let's start a conversation, I want you back, and their partner says no, and they go, well, I don't know what to do now. So focusing on high value communication is going to be the thing that starts to kickstart that repair process and allows you to start moving forward very rapidly throughout the reconciliation process. And this, again, means that you need to ensure that you have the skills to have these conversations without causing the previous triggers that may have happened in the previous relationship. So I'll leave you with that deeper dive video, and I will see you over there.